Oh, we're live. I kind of froze because I was getting a notification over here. Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another Testkube Office Hours. Very happy to open the office doors again to you and just talk about everything that's going on in the testing world, specifically with Testkube and specifically with Kubernetes applications. If you're new here, Testkube is a Kubernetes native testing framework that helps you orchestrate, run, execute, and manage your tests and test results for all of your applications that are running in Kubernetes. And today we have a really interesting topic that is test-based monitoring for Kubernetes apps. So we're going to talk a little bit about what exactly or what would be a normal approach to monitoring applications and your server status, and also our suggested approach using your existing tests. So our agenda is pretty straightforward. Now we're going to talk about what status pages are for monitoring specifically in the monitoring or in the software world, and how to do that with Testkube, how to build a status page with Testkube using your tests. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about what status pages are in the world of software, which you're probably familiar with if you're, as a developer, as a DevOps engineer, or as a tester. Of course, you probably heard this term before. You probably interacted with status pages before. Status pages are a web-based interface or a web page that is providing you with real-time information about the status of your systems or of an application system. So you may be using a very popular software, and they will more likely than not have a status page set up to inform the users and the team itself of the overall health of your system. So in a status page, ideally you want to see if your systems are up and running, if there's any ongoing incidents or issues with the software, if there's going to be a delay because certain systems are going to undergo maintenance and whatnot. That's pretty much a status page. And nowadays, status pages are usually built through third-party observability systems. But today, I want to tell you how to do that with your existing tests. You don't have to build an intricate system from scratch and just use what you already have, which are your existing tests for your apps. So I'm going to show you how to do that with Testkube. And as always, let me just share the documentation. You can head over to our documentation where we have everything you will need to get started and follow along as I walk you through it. Okay. Let me just share my screen. So messy here with this dual monitor situation. Let me just share my screen. We're going to navigate to cloud.testkube.io and sign in. Okay. I think you can see that. Yeah, I see it. Okay. So this is my environment for Testkube and Testkube Cloud. And as you can see, I already have a bunch of tests that are running, normally checking on the status of my applications. And what you want to do is ideally you want to be able to use what you have already to your advantage when creating a status page. So Testkube's new feature over here in this tab, you can configure your very own status page. I'm going to show you how simple and easy it is. So let's head over here. And I already have one for my app. Okay. I'm going to show you first what the what it looks like. Okay. So what you're going to do is head over to status page. And this banner is a little distracting, maybe. Okay, hide. And then you're going to simply create a new status page. To do this, you just add a name. I named it my app. We can change the name. Let's say Ali's status page. Then you can add a description. Remember that this can be either private or public. So ideally you want to be concise and, share information with your users if you're going to make this status page public. So what I'm going to add here is Ali's app. And then you just save, and that should update immediately. So mine is already created, all right? But immediately after you create your new status page, you will get a URL for it or an endpoint where it's exposed to. When you click on this, as you can see, it's just a random number, right? But you can change over here the slug. You can create your own custom one and decide whether you want it to be public or private. So you can set that up really easily over here. You can make it public and expose it, and you can check it out on incognito. Well, actually, I think I'm only sharing this window, so that would be a problem. But this is already accessible by anyone outside of your organization, and you can set that back to private immediately as well. But as you can see over here, private status pages can only be seen by logged in users in your organization. So that's if you want to have this communication inside your team. But let's put that public. You can create a specific slug, and you can also modify the time scale for your status page. This can be in hours or days, and I'm going to show you the difference in that in a little bit. But let's head over to creating our services. So you'll head over here to services, and I already have created three different systems that I'm going to be testing with load tests and API tests. So let's assume that you have, your payment service, your whole web app that you want to be testing after changes or stuff. So what I do is create a new service. I'm going to show you how to create a new service. You just head over here to service name. And let's say I already have a payment service, the portfolio status, which would be my entire web app. That's why I am just running a URL test against it to see that it comes back with the response that I'm expecting. Also, a payment service that I'm checking with a load test, assuming that, I'm getting heavy loads or I can expect heavy loads going on, then that's also something that I want to be able to tell. And then a scheduling service for people that are going to be scheduling on my portfolio site. I'm doing an API to just make sure that API test, to make sure that the calls are working correctly and my API is in good health. So let's create a new service. Let's just assume that it's just another calendar. Let's say that it's a calendar section system under system. And you add that, and immediately it's very easy to just add a test that's related to that. So you select the test here that is going to be testing that part of your software, of your application. So let's say that I'm running an end-to-end test. So you can do Cypress, or maybe I'm doing another URL test. So you add that, and all you have to do is save. And like, as I said, this is public. You just head over to it. I think you can see that. Yeah. So this is the view of the status page. You will get, maybe I can zoom out. You will get a division for all of your systems. And like I said, this is hourly, right? This is displayed hourly because that's how we did it. And you will get whether your system is operational, if it's down, if there's a temporary outage or anything that is related to your test results. So everything over here is checking that if the test ran successfully, then we assume that the system is working because we're doing that URL call for this one, right? So this is tracking all the times that my system went down as well and then you can see over there that you can track down which test it's the one that failed, right? Same over here for payment service. You see that it was a K6 test that failed. So something was going on there. The same for the scheduling service, and then our calendar system that just tracks that's URL test results over time. So we head over back here, and we can also, let's assume that you want to report incidents, you want to report any maintenance that your system is undergoing. You can also create incidents over here. So you just head over to incidents. I can zoom back in. You can head over to incidents, and let's say that over here I added one when my API was undergoing maintenance. So obviously you want your users to know if there'll be any delays in for any functionalities in your application. So let's say that I'm applying some maintenance to my payments API. So throughout October 12th, aka today, from let's say 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., that API is going to be undergoing maintenance. So my users can expect a certain delay or complete, temporarily unavailability of this feature. So you can create a new incident and call it, let's say that I get a report that system is failing, my portfolio is failing. So I can tell my users temporary outage. Okay. You can then assign a severity level. This would be critical, of course, if just my entire site is down. So let's say that's critical. Then we can make it a draft or published if you're expecting it to come in the future, right? So published incident description, and then you say we we underwent temporary outage due to server malfunction or something. You can be as precise as you want, and what's even cooler is that it supports markdown. So you can go and add just anything you want, emojis, even if that's what you want, indentation and whatnot. So let's say that we had this outage from today, 10 a.m. Oops, I didn't save it. Today at 10 a.m. And then you can select if there's an end date or if it's still ongoing, right? But let's say that it ended today at 10:30. Say that we were out for 30 minutes, just a lot. But let's say that we were out for 30 minutes, and then you create that incident and it's immediately published, which you can see over here. So you head down, and as you can see, you see the one where I had this payment API maintenance thing going on October 5th. But then on October 12th, we underwent temporary outage, and people can see that immediately as your user. So you can also edit them or archive them. So let's say that I want to change this to info, just information, because there'll be an incident. Oh, wait, I modified the wrong one. Edit. This is definitely critical, right? And then the payment API maintenance, that's the one that's informational. So let's do that. And then we refresh this. And as you can see, it serves as an alert. Another cool thing that's coming up is that you can link this to your PagerDuty, have your engineers that are on call, have access to the results out of your status pages. So you can subscribe to have updates. This is the same for your users if they rely on your system, of course. So you can sign up, and we'll let you know when that feature is coming. And let's see how I actually sketch. So this is ideally you're using your existing tests that have already incorporated automation, right? Because you don't want to have to be manually running them to reports. Oh, and let's take a look at how it will look for in days. So it's just depending on like your historical data, right? So depending on that, it does affect because today we had some of our tests failing. I'll have to actually check that, but I'll have to see what that was. But yeah, it's pretty easy to customize and manage and set up, and you use what you already have. So let's go over to our tests, and you can see the way I implemented automation. So this can be, of course, connected to your CI/CD pipeline. So every time there's a change, you trigger a test and whatnot. But in this case, I scheduled these as smoke tests, or for example, in this one, that's a load test. It's running over here and scheduled, and I'm running it every 5 minutes. As you can see, it's just a cron schedule, so you can play around with that, configure it as you need. But that's how I implemented the automation for this bit over here. A great advantage of having status pages linked to your test results is actually that, well, you have real-time visibility. All right. These status pages provide you with real-time insights into the status of your application, into the health of everything that's going on in your cluster, in your app, and your system, or APIs that are connected to it. If there's any issues or outages, you just get the information real quick, and hopefully you minimize downtime, right? It's also great for transparency. So like I said, you can share these with your users. You can share these across your team. It's great to offer this public facing view of the status of your application. This will help you, of course, generate more trust, increase the trust with your customers and your stakeholders, that they can see and have access to this at all times, and verify on their own that the application's uptime is good and the performance as well. Then that, of course, brings us to having good user communication and, of course, access to historical data. So as I showed you here, I've been running these since, I believe, October 4th. So you get all of this information for your application historically. So you can see how it actually performs. Here's the operability. We provide you with operability to be notified, or to be on top of a system if it's performing under quality standards. So let's say that it's always failing 50% of the time. That's definitely great for historical data. And of course, customization is great because you can work this out for your brand. So we're also coming up with ways for you to customize these status pages, or you follow your own branding. So that's coming up as well. And you don't have to do much, but stay with what you have and just take advantage of your own existing testing system. And that's it. I will share over here in the comment box the documentation for status pages. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below as well. And the other thing, we have a great Learn page where we go over what I just talked about, just how to get them set up, how to get started, and why you should be using your tests instead of just, relying on an third-party system, and just stay in-house. Okay, so I'm going to share the documentation with you. Anything that might help you get started. Feel free to also join our Discord, ask us questions if you need help getting them set up, if you need help understanding more how it works. We're very happy to chat with you guys and answer any questions. Just let me make sure I send the documentation before we stop the live. Okay, I found it. status pages docs. And if you want to see more examples like these, make sure, of course, to follow us to stay on top of our office hours. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, which is always exciting to sit down and talk to you guys and show you what the team is up to. I think this is an amazing, huge feature that's sure to improve the way you monitor and the way you communicate with your users, overall, your overall status and health of your application. So I shared the links. And as I said, feel free to join our Discord, ask us questions, get started with Testkube, go on cloud.testkube.io, and you don't have to do anything to get this feature. It's already implemented. If you just need to sign into cloud.testkube.io, and you'll be all set to create your own status pages. Thank you, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.